Mr. Weber, showed us that he has witnessed an entire facility which can produce tons and tons of anthrax. So everyone in the audience, as well as in the speaker panel, were speechless, and they all were horrified to see that something of this sort can also happen in the world. So let us join hands together and understand how us universities can play their role and contribute to curb this misuse. And we have today with us to discuss on this very, very important issue, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Mahatma Gandhi University, Kerala, Professor Dr. Sabu Thomas. Welcome, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. We also have Honorable Vice Chancellor of Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia, Awadh University, Faizabad, Uttar Pradesh, Professor Dr. Manoj Dikshitji. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. We also have with us the Honorable Vice Chancellor of SRM Institute of Science and Technology and former President of Association of Indian Universities, AIU, Professor Dr. Sandeep Sancheti. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. We also have with us the former Vice Chancellor of Maharashtra University of Health Science, Nashik, Professor Dr. Arun Jamkarji. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. And now, before we begin with this session, I would like to request the moderator of this session, the Registrar of MIT World Peace University, Dr. Prashant Daveji, to kindly give the introductory remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Gautam Bapat, sir. A warm welcome to all the eminent speakers, panelists, and distinguished audience. I'm really delighted and looking forward to this particular session, chaired by our revered founder, President, Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karad, sir, Rahul, sir, and looking forward to hear from all the eminent speakers for this session, who are in true sense the real educationists, the academicians who are laying the foundation of a strong future through their various universities. The session goes with how exactly the university can contribute to curb the misuse of weapons of mass destruction. The seed thought for this discussion has been planted already by our revered founder, Dr. Vishwanath Karad, sir. And we are discussing all sorts of scenarios and how exactly today the session, which is basically about the contribution and the role of university. I definitely believe, and I look forward to hear a resounding thought by all our audience, all our participants, that universities have an exceptional capability to nurture and develop the young minds in an extraordinary way, which will have far-reaching impact for the generations to come. And none other than the universities, a progressive university who shall train and produce some of the finest scientists and technologists in years to come. Hence, it is imperative for all the universities to understand the responsibility of nurturing these young minds, especially the young minds working in the field of biodiversities, and all these aspects contributes. One more important point here I want to highlight is the university can create a public awareness movement to stop people from engaging in any kind of technological advancement. So it's important that the young generation is trained and nurtured in a right way. And I believe universities has a very big role in nurturing these young minds to ensure that our future generation is in safe hands. And universities can make efforts to create awareness among students about how the hazards have menaced communities for decades, and in some cases centuries. We are all aware of the kind of situation that we have faced due to these kind of biological weapons or any kind of nuclear weapons that have been used in past. So it's also to understand students that these hazards presents a unique challenge due to the fact that much less is known about them, and they are created with intent. So it's very important to streamline these intents, nurture right intent, and inculcate right kind of value system for our students, and universities has a biggest role to do so. I am really delighted and look forward to hear from all the eminent speakers. The context is rightly set by our founder executive president, and over to you, Gautam sir. We can move ahead with the first speaker and
Thank you.
continue with this session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for your kind introductory remarks. And now it is indeed my honor and privilege to move ahead in this very, very important session. But yes, as we have been discussing, that what exactly is the role that universities can play and how exactly we as teachers can play our role to curb this misuse of weapons of mass destruction. So as we discuss this, I would like to request my technical team if they could please kindly relay a small film made on this very, very important topic. Over to my IT team.
If we look at last century behind us, we have striking cases that demonstrate leadership and decision-making crisis, like the case of Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and Bhopal gas tragedy. Education plays a vital role in shaping the building blocks of society, the youth who are the future. Let us discuss how universities can contribute to curb misuse of weapons of mass destruction at International Conference on Eradication of Biological and Chemical Weapons.
Thank you very much for that film, and definitely that underlines the need of how exactly, why exactly it is needed that we all must discuss this topic. Well, my friends, now we have reached a moment in this session that where we join our digital hands, I would say, for the picture perfect moment. So I request everyone to adjust their cameras and get ready for a group photograph where all the windows would be captured together. There won't be any photographer as such because of this technological hurdle. So you won't see people running around with the cameras, but our IT team would grab the screen and take the photograph. So I request everyone to please switch on their cameras so that we can capture this moment. Let's put on some smile on our faces and get ready for the picture perfect moment. IT team. Done. Thank you very much. This always feels a little funny, but yes, we'll have to accept this new normal the way we have been used to. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for joining Digital Hands for this beautiful photograph. And now it is my indeed honor and privilege to invite the first eminent speaker of this session, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Mahatma Gandhi University, Kerala, Professor Dr. Sabu Thomas Ji. But before I invite him, I would like to introduce all of you to Professor Dr. Sabu Thomas. Well, my friends, I always feel that I'm in a catch-22 situation whenever I'm introducing academic stalwarts. And today I don't have one, not two, not three, but four academic stalwarts who have joined in this session. And when I have to introduce them, I just don't really understand from where to start and where to end, because their academic profiles are so big and they have done so much of work. So I just really don't understand. So I would like to apologize to all the honorable vice chancellors. I would be picking up randomly from your information biodatas, and I would be sharing something with the audience. Professor Dr. Sabu Thomas Ji, currently honorable vice chancellor of Mahatma Gandhi University. He has PhD in engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, in the field of polymer blends thermoplastics. He has BTech in engineering from University of Cochin in polymer sciences and rubber technology, and he has his BSc from University of Kerala in chemistry. He has held numerous positions, and even he was associated with industry also. From 1987, in year 1987, he was the technological officer at the Bayer India. He was also associated with rubber production as a rubber production officer with Bata. His academic and teaching administrative experience in India goes to many, many academic institutions like Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, Mahatma Gandhi University, Kottayam, Kerala, then Mahatma Gandhi, regional director of the School of Technology and Applied Sciences. He was the full professor at School of Chemical Sciences, Mahatma Gandhi University, and many, many more. But his major field of interest has been the polymers, fiber-filled polymer composites, and particular particulate field polymer composites, and so on. He has a vast experience of visiting and doctoral professorship abroad as well. He has worked in Quebec level University, Canada. He has also worked in Belgium. He has worked in many, many other international universities as well. Sir, it is indeed our honor and privilege to have you here with us today. Thank you very much for joining in. And without wasting a single more minute, I hand over the control to you. Over to you, sir.
So thank you so much for your kind words of introduction. I'm extremely delighted that MIT World Peace University is organizing a 4-day international conference on eradication of biological and chemical weapons. Congratulations. This is probably my second interaction with your university. Sometime back, I was in your campus and participated in a discussion meeting. I'm really happy that you have chosen a session on how universities can contribute to curb misuse of weapons of mass destruction. So congratulations again for the nice topic. I am from Mahatma Gandhi University, Kottayam.
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think some of the software controls of Cisco WebEx software are on the middle of your slides. If you could please move them aside, we'll be able to see the full slide. Right now, they're actually overlapping the slide content.
I see. Right.
Yeah. Some of the controls of, please just move them aside so that we'll be able to see this.
Is it okay now? Oh, yeah, we are not able to do that well.
Okay. Never mind. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay,
Not a problem. Thank you.
Let me show you my slide. My first slide is, the topic is on weapons of mass destruction. So weapons of mass destruction, what's the definition of that? It can kill lots of people, human beings, and cause damage to man-made structures. That's the basic meaning of mass destruction. You can see a bombing of a city. The key features of mass destruction include potential of large-scale destruction, indiscriminate nature of their effects. Yeah, if I show you my next slide, when you look at the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, you have biological weapons, chemical weapons, nuclear weapons, radiological weapons. And I also see shown some of the nice pictures of different types of weapons and their mass destruction. If you look at the biological weapons, you know what people do? They make use of bacteria, virus, different microorganisms, fungi. And when you look at biological weapons, they are very complex systems that can disseminate diseases, causing organisms and toxins to harm the human beings. And if you look at the biological weapons, they have two important parts. One is a weaponized agent, the other one is delivery mechanism. If you look at the history, you will find that Japan deliberately infected Chinese prisoners via biological weapons. 1930 to 1945, the Second World War. And how many people died? 10,000 people, 10,000 fatalities. Japan also accidentally killed their own people by mistake using biological weapons. If you look at chemical weapons of mass destruction, they use different types of chemicals, very toxic materials. It could be sulfur mustard, it could be sarin gas, it could be Agent Orange. People use Agent Orange in Vietnam, especially by the Americans. White phosphorus, chemical weapons used by the Nazis. We have lots and lots of examples of chemical weapons of mass destruction. And these chemical weapons were used in World War I, World War II. If you look at nuclear weapons are quite dangerous. And again, if you look at the chemistry of nuclear weapons, it could be fission reaction or fusion reaction, thermonuclear systems. And in the introduction, you have talked about Hiroshima. So many people were killed in Hiroshima. I happened to visit Hiroshima several times. I'd been to Hiroshima University because we had a research collaboration with them. And if you look at the current nuclear situation, 21,000, between 21,000 and 30,000 nuclear warheads are available worldwide. And again, if you look at the literature, you can see that around 5,000 nuclear heads are ready to be used within 30 minutes. You can see how powerful they are. Again, if you look at the nuclear weapons, I said around 30,000 nuclear weapons are available now. Look at this capacity, 200,000 times the Hiroshima bomb. You see, look at the capability of the nuclear weapons. If you look at the radiological weapons, you know what they do? Combine radioactive material with conventional explosive to spread it. And you can use different types of radiological weapons. It has short and long-term health problems. Most vulnerable yet accessible. Wide applications for radioactive sources, including agriculture and medicine. Lots of applications if you look at the other side. Let me show you the implication. What were the implications of World War I? Look at Russia. 70 lakhs people died in Russia because of World War I. Almost the same number of people died in Germany, 17 lakhs. France, 18 lakhs. Austria, 12 lakhs. Look at the casualties of World War I. If you look at the number of wounded people, 49 lakhs people wounded in Russia, 42 lakhs people wounded in Germany, 42 lakhs wounded in France. So lots of people were dead, lots of people were wounded. And I've taken some photographs of from Russian, history book about World War I. Look at World War II. And I have a slide which shows the percent of people died. Poland was the choker, followed by Soviet Union, Yugoslavia, Germany. The percent of people died based on their population. So much of casualties. Now, because after World War II, UN was created, United Nations was created. What was the purpose of the United Nations? United Nations was created for preserving peace through international cooperation and collective security. And I also want to tell you that if you look at the UN's budget is actually less than 1.8% of the world's military expenditure. So the funding of UN is not that great. Let me now show you the military expenditure worldwide, how much money is spent for military. You will see United States is a choker, spending a lot of money, followed by China, and then you can see Saudi Arabia, India, France, Russia, a lot of countries spend a lot of money, but the choker is United States and China. China's expenditure is almost 5 times or 4 times, more than 4 times that of India. And again, I have a geographical picture. Look at North America. North America actually spent the largest amount of money on military. 45% of the total budget of the weapon actually is from from North America. The exact figure is more than $7.7 billion funded for the military. This is followed by Europe, 24%, 376.3 billion. Then you can see lots of money is being spent in Asia, 18%, 287.6, majority from China. And then I have a slide which shows the biggest 5 sellers of arms in the world. United States is top, followed by China, United Kingdom, France, and Russia. And I made a statement, if we can avoid wars, the excess military funding can be used for nation building by alleviating poverty and improving riches. I also have a slide from Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. Spending for peace versus spending for war. There's a large gap between what countries are prepared to allocate for military needs to provide security and maintain their global and regional power status. On the one hand, and to alleviate poverty and promote economic development. There's a big gap because all countries spend a lot of money for military. I again have a slide on war versus poverty. If you look at the global picture, $1,600 million are spent in 2011 for arms. Now I wanted to add that, providing basic health care to those countries without the benefit is 20 billion per annum. Providing shelter to those without is 21 billion per annum. If you add up everything, humanity could be served with food, water, and health facilities with $129 million. And you see how much money we spent. $1,600 billion were spent in 2011. And how much money we need to look after the humanity, health, water, everything, shelter, $129 billion. We need only that much. You see how much money we spend for military. Let me show you some of the points to think about it, to ponder. Imagine if all the military mind and power and money that is being spent on war was spent instead on funding other non-violent solutions. The world would have been a different place. And now I'm going to show you, with this background, I'm going to show you what university can do. My first slide is universities all over the world to provide value-based education. Proactive research approach on peace. Value-based education. Optimized utilization of resources. Exploiting expertise of faculties, researchers, scientists, technicians, students, for balanced holistic growth. Creating awareness about the consequence of war. That's what universities can do. Again, I would say we have to adopt the Gandhian philosophy, Gandhian mode of education, the so-called value-based education, ethical guidance in research work, providing access and quality education, targeted location-specific CV programming, geopolitical alliance, building cultural respect, reconciliation, solidarity, addressing human needs, dismantling culture of war, global partnership of education. These are the elements of value-based education according to Mahatma Gandhi. I wanted to quote the great philosopher from a European country, from Dutch Netherlands, Spinoza. Spinoza said, "Peace is not the absence of war." According to Spinoza, this is a virtue, it's an attitude, tendency to good, trust, and justice. Again, I wanted to add that peace education is considered to be both philosophy and a process involving skills, including listening, problem solving, cooperation, and conflict resolution. Again, Fino says, peace education is nothing but empowering people with the skill, attitude, and knowledge to create a safe world and build a sustainable ecosystem. And
So I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have to keep some time in reserve for the questions and answers also.
Reverence of life. I'm going to stop now. And I also want to tell you that the perception of peace, the peace education involves several components: well-functionalized government, good relationship with neighbors, low level of corruption, acceptance of the rights of the people. So it has lots of components of peace education. And I would say universities should inculcate the instincts of peace in students. Peace education should be part of the curriculum. Educate students with consequence of war. Motivate and encourage students to be better human beings. And I will also say that we have to create awareness about the consequence of war, social awareness about the consequences, political awareness about the diplomacy tactics, positive protest, and influencing the youth. And if you look at the peace education has different components: expanding the culture of war, cultivating inner peace, living in harmony with the earth, building cultural respect, living with justice and compassion. And finally, I want to say that this is my last slide. Peace education is not an easy task to accomplish. We have to really make excellent content for the peace education, and we also have to teach peace education at the universities. And if you look at, again, peace education, the academic content is very important, practical skill is very important, the pedagogical content is very important. Therefore, I'm sure that universities can do a great role in controlling arms and to create a peaceful ecosystem in the world, because by doing peace education, by introducing peace education as part of the curriculum. Thank you so much for your patient hearing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your kind inputs. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. My friends, as you all are aware that we have kept some time in reserve for the questions and answers. So I request each one of you to please post your questions in only questions and answers box. I can see that you're posting some of your questions in the chat box. Please note that the questions posted in chat box will not be answered. So I request you to post your questions in the question and answer box only. I'm your host, Gautam Bapat. You can find my name in the Q&A box, and please post your questions. Thank you very much. With this, I would like to move to the next point on agenda. In this very, very important session where we have the vice chancellors of many universities with us, we also have a student representation who's representing the youth of our nation. A student of MIT World Peace University, Shri Rajat Jasuja, is also with us. I would now request him to kindly share his thoughts with everyone in the audience. Over to you, Jasuja.
थैंक यू सर। MIT वर्ल्ड पीस यूनिवर्सिटी के आज इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस में आयोजित आप सबको मैं स्वागत करता हूं। हम लोग ये चर्चा करने जा रहे हैं कि रासायनिक हथियार पूरी दुनिया के लिए कैसे खतरा है और उसके जो रिएक्शन है उसको पूरी दुनिया भर के विश्वविद्यालय कैसे रोक सकते हैं। तो मैं ये सोचता हूं कि जब पूरी दुनिया भर के जो छात्र हैं उन्होंने आज भारत ने एक बड़ा प्रमाण जारी किया है, भारत की नहीं पूरी दुनिया भर में एक बड़ा प्रमाण हम लोगों ने जारी किया है, छात्रों ने जारी किया है। वो क्या है कि हम कहीं भी कोई ऐसी जो यूनिवर्सिटी से लड़ाई शुरू होती है वो एक सकारात्मक परिणाम तक पहुंची है, चाहे आप यूनिवर्सिटी, चाहे वो आप साउथ अफ्रीका के रंगभेद को देख लो। हम लोगों ने नेल्सन मंडेला को वहां पे राष्ट्रपति बना के एक छात्रों की लड़ाई वहां पे जीती। दूसरी तरफ आप आसाम में एक 33 साल के युवा यूनिवर्सिटी से डायरेक्ट निकल के वहां पे मुख्यमंत्री बन जाते हैं, जिनको हम प्रफुल्ल कुमार मोहंतो के नाम से जानते हैं। तो ये इस बात को सिद्ध करती है कि छात्रों की लड़ाइयों ने हमेशा एक सकारात्मक परिणाम देखा है। अगर हम केमिकल वेपन्स फ्री वर्ल्ड की बात करते हैं तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इसकी शुरुआत सिर्फ और सिर्फ भारत इसलिए कर सकता है क्योंकि भारत की जो औसत आयु है वो टोटल 29 वर्ष है। और अगर हम एक पुरानी रिपोर्ट और देखें कि भारत में जो आज एक समस्या है कि हम जो हेल्थ है, जो राइट टू हेल्थ, मैं छत्तीसगढ़ का छात्र हूँ, छत्तीसगढ़ में राइट टू हेल्थ अब लागू होने जा रहा है। हम लोग, भारत के लोग 1.28% जीडीपी का हेल्थ में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं। दूसरी तरफ आप डिफेंस में देखोगे तो उसका दोगुना, मतलब 2.5% आप जीडीपी पे इन्वेस्ट करते हो। जब मैं इसके बारे में सोच रहा था तो मुझे गांधी जी का एक मशहूर वाक्य याद आ गया कि खुद में वो बदलाव लाइए जो आप दुनिया में देखना चाहते हैं। अगर हम रासायनिक फ्री वर्ल्ड का सपना देख रहे हैं तो पहले हमें इसके बारे में ये सोचना पड़ेगा कि इससे पहले कौन कौन से राष्ट्र ने इसको डेवलप किया और उसके बाद डिसमेंटल किया। तो पूरी दुनिया में मात्र एक राष्ट्र है जिसका नाम साउथ अफ्रीका है, जिसको उन्होंने 1980 में डेवलप किया और 1993 में उन्होंने ये लोगों को बता दिया कि हम लोग डिसमेंटल कर चुके हैं। लेकिन अब 1900 जो साउथ अफ्रीका की जो डेमोग्राफिक है और भारत की जो डेमोग्राफिक है, उन दोनों में बहुत फर्क है। साउथ अफ्रीका के नेबर कंट्रीज है जिम्बाब्वे, बोट्सवाना और नेम्बिया, लेकिन हमारे जो साइड के जो कंट्रीज है, नेबर कंट्रीज है, वो है पाकिस्तान, वो है चाइना, वो है श्रीलंका और अभी बांग्लादेश। बांग्लादेश आपकी नीतियों से खुश नहीं है। चाइना हमारे बॉर्डर पे आता जा रहा है। पाकिस्तान पहले ही आतंकियों को शरणार्थी देते रहा है। तो हमें ये सोचने का समय है कि भारत इसके प्रति कैसे जागरूक हो सकता है। हम लोग एक तरफ देखते हैं कि अगर हम युद्ध में जाएंगे तो हम फूड सिक्योर्ड राष्ट्र तो हैं, हम अपने आप को फूड सिक्योर्ड बताते तो हैं, लेकिन हम उन तक पहुंच नहीं पाते, उन लोगों को तक खाना नहीं पहुंचा पाते। तो हम लोग इंडस्ट्रियल जो डेवलपमेंट है उसमें भी पीछे हैं। दूसरी तरफ आप साउथ अफ्रीका को देखोगे तो वर्ल्ड बैंक की एक रिपोर्ट आई जिसमें उन्होंने कहा कि इकोनॉमिक स्टेबिलिटी के नाम पे साउथ अफ्रीका पहले नंबर पे है और भारत 150 देशों की लिस्ट में 95वें नंबर पे है। मैं ये सिर्फ इतना कहना चाहता हूं, अगर हम पीस चाहते हैं, अगर हम शांति चाहते हैं, तो हर व्यक्ति को अपनी रोटी, कपड़ा, मकान, रोजगार और उससे भी अधिक जो बात है कि जो हमारे देश ने हमको दी है वो संस्कृति, अगर हम उसको बचा सकते हैं तो वो मात्र एक ही कारण है, वो है यूनिवर्सिटीज की पढ़ाई, वो है रोजगार। और हमें इस बारे को सोचना पड़ेगा। और मुझे गांधी की फिर से मुझे अंतिम अपने भाषण में सिर्फ इतनी याद आती है कि जो गांधी ने कहा था वो पूरी दुनिया को बताना और पूरे मशहूर करने की बात ये है कि अगर हम आंख के बदले आंख की लड़ाई लड़ेंगे तो पूरी दुनिया अंधी हो जाएगी। मैं सिर्फ इसी माध्यम से कहना चाहता हूं कि अगर हम पीस की तरफ जाते हैं तो हमें गांधी को याद करना पड़ेगा, हमें देश की यूनिवर्सिटीज को जानना पड़ेगा, देश की यूनिवर्सिटीज की वो पावर को जानना पड़ेगा कि वो पूरी दुनिया भर में ऐसी फोर्स तैयार कर सकती है कि हम किसी भी मुद्दे को अपना सकते हैं। थैंक यू। जय हिंद।
Thank you very much, Rajat. Thank you very much for your views. Thank you very much for representing youth, the young citizens of our nation, and making their thoughts reach us. Thank you very much for that. And it is indeed my honor and privilege to introduce you to the next eminent speaker of this session, Professor Dr. Manoj Dixitji, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia, Awadh University. Sir has completed his PhD from University of Lucknow in year 1994. He has Masters of Public Administration and Chancellor's Gold Medal for the graduation top of the class, D.Lit of University of Lucknow. As Vice Chancellor, I mean, before that, he has been taken many positions of prestige in academics, Professor and Head of Department of Public Administration. The Department of Public Administration is one of the oldest departments of public administration in entire India, established in year 1963. He was the Director of Institute of Tourism Studies, University of Lucknow, 2013 to 2017. The charges of the addition of the position of Professor and Head of the Department of Public Administration, University of Lucknow. He was Governor's nominee as member of Executive Council of Satna, Madhya Pradesh, Mahatma Gandhi, Chitrakoot Vishwavidyalaya, Researcher, School of Political Sciences and Public Administration, and he was the director of Dr. Girilal Gupta Institute of Public Health and Public Affairs, University of Lucknow from 2007 to 2011. And probably many more positions he has held in his life, which I can talk about. But I would like to listen to him more, and I would not invest more time and reading his positions. I'm really sure that we all are keen to listen to him. And without wasting any further minute, I would like to request him to kindly address the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gautam. It's a real and indeed an opportunity to be speaking today finally on MIT platform. I was given an opportunity to speak to Chhatra Sansad, I think the last year or the before last year, which I could not attend due to my health reasons. Fortunately, I visited MIT campus twice, so I'm quite well aware of the role that you play in this. And organizing this beautiful conference, a 4-day conference, is something in the series of good things that you do, are very rare things that you do. While reading my profile, you missed one small point, because that was totally influenced and in fact helped by the MIT's team of under the Mr. Rahul Karat. We also started a School of Democracy in Lucknow University, and I was heading that School of Democracy, which was totally influenced by your own School of Democracy, which I did for about 2-3 years, and started a course on leadership as well. Today's topic is very important, though I'm not a scientist unfortunately, I'm not a scientist to understand nitty-gritties of the weapons of mass destruction. But we can understand that whichever form of weapon of mass destruction that we talk about, whether it's nuclear or radiological or chemical or biological or any other weapon, they can kill and bring significant harm to numerous humans. And all those humans who face the consequences of such a war are not the people fighting the war. They are the casualties who are non-participant, I can say, in the war, and yet the maximum casualties. Take the war from any time, maybe as old as 6200 BC, when the famous Ayodhya war took place, to the latest war that we can talk about, the Kargil and all. We have all had the casualties of different kind, and the war that was fought was not fought on ethics and rules. So when we talk about these weapons of mass destruction, we are actually, this term was initially coined in reference to aerial bombing or the chemical explosive or the World War II. But then very soon you can find that the rules of the game were violated, and each war ended with a catastrophe of different sort. If you visit Hiroshima or Nagasaki and the museums that they are there with the remains of the Holocaust that caused millions of deaths in a matter of minutes, we realize that the war, and I firmly believe a war is never won. A war is always lost. The cost has to be given by both the so-called winner and the so-called loser. And therefore, we have to understand that the reasons for fighting a war have to be understood better by the younger generation now. Of course, the older generation can be no exception that they cannot understand and they should not understand. We also understand the fact that the uranium bomb that detonated in Hiroshima was about 15,000 tons of TNT, and today's bombs that we can talk about are 300 times more lethal than what they are now. It was there in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And second point that I want to highlight here is that the consequences of these weapons of mass destruction, whether it is a nuclear or it is a chemical or a biological, do not end with the end of the game or end of the war. They begin from there. 70 years down the drain, Hiroshima and Nagasaki still suffers from the trauma of the nuclear bombs. Each one of these weapons, if used, lead to consequences beyond imagination and beyond control. My previous speaker did mention Bhopal gas tragedy, though it was not a war, but it was a huge chemical tragedy that took place and caused so many lives. Government accept only 3,800. But even if it took place in, say about 30 years back, the consequences of that tragedy are still felt. The impact on the bodies and minds of the people are still felt, and you still do not have many answers to those questions that are raised by these survivors. Therefore, one thing we must understand, that the power of the bomb is not the power of war. The power of the bomb are not going to solve the problems of the world, and therefore we can talk about the long-term impacts as something that we probably need to understand better. There the role of universities will come, and there the role of the younger people like Rajat spoke from his heart, will come to understand as to how and where we can, what should be our role with regard to leading these catastrophes being avoided. First, I just want to give you one small comparison. The blast from the little boy was the bomb that was sent on Hiroshima. The blast from the little boy released about 15 kilotons of energy, equivalent to 15,000 tons of TNT, and sent a mushroom cloud up to the height of about 25,000 feet. The other bomb that was called the Fat Man, that produced about 21 kilotons. And today, B-83, the available bomb, is about 1.2 megatons, equivalent to about 1,20,000 or 12 lakh tons of TNT, making it 80 times more powerful than the bomb that was sent on Hiroshima. You can well understand. We can also wish that these bombs are never ever used, because these will not hit a city, these will hit a country, these will hit humanity very hard. So it becomes very terrifying. And in it's the largest nuclear weapon ever detonated is the Tsar bomba, set off by the Soviet Union in 1961, which produced about a 50 megaton blast, about 3,333 times more powerful than the little boy bomb that leveled the entire city of Hiroshima. So you can see that this is the largest man-made explosion to date, which sent the mushroom cloud up to the height of about 130,000 feet in altitude, about 4.5 times the height of Mount Everest, as it sent shockwaves around the globe 3 times over. If we wanted to, we could build a bomb even more powerful than the Tsar bomba. Maybe it's time we start looking to use nuclear fusion for something else. Nuclear answers are not going to solve the problems of peace. Then the cost factor, of course. The cost factor is that today only US, only for nuclear forces, it costs about 494 billion for only 9-year period. So it is costing, say, about $12 million per hour on maintaining these weapons. So what is the purpose that is going to solve? That's the question that we need to ask probably. That the ICAN estimates that the 9 nuclear-armed countries have spent about 72.9 billion on their 13,000 plus nuclear arms in 2019, equaling to about $138,699 every minute in 2019 on nuclear weapons, and this is a huge increase of about 7.1 billion on 2018. So today, the current estimates are, of course, nobody declares the exact numbers, but today's estimates are that there are about 13,355 nuclear weapons available in the world. India is poor in this. That, of course, is about 130. Pakistan has more than that. UK has more. China, France, of course, USA, and Russia. Russia has the maximum 6,370 nuclear weapons with them. North Korea with 20 is also threatening the entire world. One small point that is very pertinent to mention here, of course, is that we have a number of near misses in nuclear weapons. That's a very interesting history. There are a number of incidents when it almost became a nuclear war. There are 13 incidences that are listed officially on nuclear near misses. And the very interesting fact is that most of these near nuclear misses were due to technical misunderstanding. These are not on the real life situation that the war broke from one side and therefore the other side had to answer. They were all because of computer bugs and misunderstanding and misinterpretation. So look at the cost that we are paying for this is small near misses and one small misunderstanding, and it will be a catastrophe of different sorts. It is therefore avoidable. I now come to very quickly. I come to the biological weapons, and it was the official first use that the US made was in 1763 when British officers planned to distribute blankets with the smallpox. That was the first noted attempt that of biological weapons. Today, of course, the use of biological weapons have been used primarily by individuals rather than groups, and you have the powders called anthrax and all that are mentioned. The types of biological weapons include bacterial, which is the plague, anthrax, or Q fever, and many people, of course, now are talking about the coronavirus as well as a weapon, not as a disease. Chemicals, weapons of mass destruction are also in use for many years. In fact, as far as the official record is concerned, in 1000 BC, Chinese used arsenic smoke. And then, of course, it became a very extensive use in World Wars, both 1 and 2. And then 1995, sarin was used in subway in Tokyo. So a number of these chemical weapons have been used in past by different groups and individuals. Fortunately, not by countries officially. Now, I can quickly come to what universities may do. That is the point that I need to answer or understand also. Rajat mentioned some of the points that the young generation thinking. I was also reading in QA and chat of chat box what the younger generation is worried about. Let me begin with a small note or caveat. I would say that the Indian education scenario, which stands today, is a kind of missed opportunity, I would say. We have missed the target or the goal by a long margin, and therefore the Indian education currently in the scenario is that it is misdirected, and therefore it doesn't bring peace in the minds. When it doesn't bring peace in the mind, you can't expect peace in the action either. So we need to do a lot on improving the Indian education scenario per se. Professor Sabu mentioned about the value-based education. We have to correct it in a wholesale business. The National Education Policy 2019 is now
so I'm really sorry to interrupt, but we have received many questions also, so I have to keep some time in reserve for questions.
I'm just
finishing
in about 2.5 minutes. So that shows that society is basically showing some angst. We need to understand that angst is a psychological problem which will lead to the psychological issues of fighting out anything and everything physically and mentally. So minds have to be calmed down, and universities have to create a very strong narrative against violence, against war, against any kind of war, and then probably that will be the greatest role that academia can provide, is to the calmness to the society, the basic feeling of being controlled and calm. And I will probably end with the famous Shanti Mantra as given in Yajurveda. Om Deha Shanti Rakshana Antariksham Shanti Prithvi Shanti Rapah Shanti Roshadeha Shanti Vanaspateha Shantir Vishwe Deva Shantir Brahma Shanti Sarvam Shanti Shantireva Shanti Sama Shanti Redhe Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This peace has to be there in everything that we have to talk about. Peace has to be a holistic phenomenon, not an individual thing. I would stop here and expect some questions.
Thank you, sir.
Which have been
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your thoughts, and thank you very much for reciting those Shanti mantras. That reminds us of our founder who's with us today, and he has given us the similar, I would say, prayer that we recite in entire MIT World Peace University Lab for last 40 years. It's called World Peace Prayer, and that is the gift of our beloved founder, Dr. Vishwanath Karat, sir, to all of us. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your thoughts. Thank you very much for your ideas. And now it's my honor and privilege to introduce you to the next guest speaker of this session, Dr. Sandeep Sancheti ji. Honorable Vice Chancellor of SRM Institute of Science and Technology, and former President of Association of Indian Universities. Dr. Sancheti, known as an institution builder, holds a PhD from Queen's University, Belfast, UK, after obtaining a BTech from Regional Engineering College, Warangal, and MSc Engineering from Delhi College of Engineering in 1982 and 85, respectively. He is now the Vice Chancellor of SRM IST Chennai. Prior to this, he was the President of Manipal University, Jaipur, Director, National Institute of Technology, Delhi, and the Director of NITK, Suratkal. He has also served as the Director in charge of NIT Tiruchirappalli, NIT Calicut, School of Planning and Architecture, SPA Delhi, and Mentor Director of NIT Goa, NIT Puducherry, and NIT Sikkim. Dr. Sancheti began his professional career at MBN Engineering College, Jodhpur, as Assistant Professor in the Department of ECE in 1984, and later moved on to Malaviya Regional Engineering College, Jaipur, as Associate Professor in 1990. Sir, it is indeed our honor and privilege to have you here today with us. Thank you very much for joining us. And without wasting a minute, I would hand over the charge to you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Gautam ji. Thank you, Prashant ji. Good evening to everyone, and good evening to my co-panelists. Very happy to be part of this. It was a great deal learning by listening to the other panelists here, but I may not be so wise and so capable to discuss what has been discussed. But,
sir, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but yeah. I could see the panelists' cameras are not working. If I may request everyone in the panel, if you could please make, yes, thank you very much so that we can see you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Sorry to interrupt, please go ahead.
Thanks to MIT World Peace University and Karadsa for this invitation. It's my third interaction and always a learning experience and something new. And the kind of activities you are able to take up are really wonderful, very different, very unique, and therefore I appreciate it. Today's topic obviously is about the biological and chemical weapons and how do we counter that or mitigate those threats. That's fine. And there are lots of things which probably will be qualifying as the weapons of mass destruction, in my opinion. And therefore, I'll probably change certain direction here and make sure that I'll probably introduce you with these certain new dimensions of the threat which are going to come and which are going to affect. So it's obvious that the threat of, you can say, our existence is basically from very, very old age. Many instances were given by the other learned speakers. You can call dynamite, you can call the nuclear threats which are there or whatever it is there. Even the air and water possibly can be a threat because it can be poisoned, things can go wrong. And we know that a lot of people attribute a lot of things in terms of destruction or affecting the mankind is due to the environment, poor air quality or whatever particle densities and other things which are there in the air which is suspended. So I'm not going to talk about that. Same way with the biological and chemical. They are the relatively new generation in terms of those threats, and we are seeing corona as one, which is affecting us. You can put it in that category. Still, corona needs carrier. Still, maybe there has to be a physical contact for that to happen. There has to be a vehicle or a mechanism to spread it. And therefore, I'll still say that they are threats, but they may be still limited in certain sense. Therefore, I'll come to something very, very different, which belongs to my domain, I would say. I'm not necessarily like what was said by Dikshit ji, that he is not from the technology of the science. I can say that I'm not from the biological or chemical sciences. I'm from the electrical engineering or electronic engineering side. And therefore, I will take three threats which are going to be the real threats in future for us. And the first one would be the mechanical related threat. The second one would be the computer. And the third one, the most restrictive would be for me, would be the electronic threat. And let me come to the mechanical threat. We know that robots are now coming into picture. We know that robots are nothing but machines. We know that the robots have become intelligent with artificial intelligence and various other things. They have huge endurance and all that. The only thing which probably robots didn't have was that they could not reproduce themselves, which the mankind could. But with the 3D invention of 3D or 3D printing or whatever, you can say the additive manufacturing. I think one can technically say that the robots can print themselves, or the 3D machines can be robots which can print further robots. And we have seen this, such a kind of a thing in a movie which was acted upon by Rajinikanth and which became very famous and very sought after. And the name of the movie was Robot. And in the movie itself, they talked about multiplying the robots and they challenged the mankind. So that's one kind of a thing, that the machines can mass produce, machines can be intelligent, they can overpower us, and they can probably make us lose very easily. I'll still say that this threat is also not so big because it's still a physical threat. So many robots will have to move around and various other things. And therefore, you can say that this threat may be a still mild threat, but still it can possibly affect us. The second threat would be the computer threat, or the IT threat, or whatever is happening in the domain of digital world today. Internet and IoT. I think we are heavily dependent upon this. Today, if though there is no internet, we would not have met, we would not have been discussing this, and would not have been shrinking the globe. We have shrunk the globe. Once we have shrunk the globe, because of that, you can say that the globe is in control of someone now, because it's so small that it can be easily handled and tackled and maybe destroyed also. And imagine that if internet is not there today, all the transportation, all the banking, all the finance, all the railways, on the supply chains, everything will go off. And simple bugs and viruses, which are generally invisible, few lines of codes can possibly destroy it. And imagine that if you're confined to your home, you cannot move out, you cannot open your houses, you cannot start AC because it's controlled by some IoT or whatever automation sensor, which is a new way of life. Imagine what will happen to our life. So indirectly, once again, it will destroy the business, it will destroy the economy, and that is what we are feeling, that even the biological things are being felt by us, or the chemical things are being felt by us, because it's destroying the economy. We're not worried much about corona. I think in India, I've seen people are daring it, saying, oh, nothing happens. But what happens with the economical changes probably are making them uncomfortable. And therefore, computer also has that power. IT, that has power. IoT and internet has that power, that it can destroy you very, very easily. And all the medical records and medical controls and everything will also get affected. So once again, this threat can be a realistic threat. Once again, whether you call it weapon or not, it can do mass destruction for me, and therefore it's very important. The third one, the final one, which I wanted to share with you, I'll try to save time if I can by being short, and if there are questions, I'll answer that, is the electronic and the domain to which I belong to. I hope you know a word called radiation. Yes, radiations do happen from nuclear things and other things. I'm talking of a normal radiation, ultraviolet, infrared, or microwave, or millimeter wave, or terahertz wave, whatever you can say. Why I'm saying why it is powerful and why it can destroy. We all fear, as Indians typically, that God can destroy us if we don't behave. Now, let me tell you, these waves are nothing but gods. These waves, not in the sense, some equivalence I can establish. Like God, they are invisible. Like God, they are omnipresent. And like God, they can do anything to us. They can heat us up, they can cool us down, they can do anything immediately. And therefore, it's something like a demigod, you can say, these waves. And if the radiation is not controlled, the radiation can kill anyone. And imagine a situation where I was saying that everything which you said, biological, chemical, or maybe computer or robotic, will have to be carried from one place to another place. In this case, nothing is to be carried. Just put one space station, which can be a high altitude platform at 2,000, 1,000 kilometer above the ground, or it can be a satellite at 36,000 kilometer, which many countries have already put. And that signal to be beamed at a given country or in a given footprint where you want to do the damage, you can easily do. Let me tell you, your TV or your mobile, everything can be stopped in 1 minute's time if the signal or the noise signal or the jamming signal is beamed from them. Right now, the ITU regulations prohibit someone to go beyond a certain signal strength. The moment we are at war, we are in difficulty, the signal levels can be increased by anyone. There are spy satellites, there are various other things. Once the level goes up, everything will come to stand still because there is no communication. When there is no communication, there is no computer, internet, and then obviously radiation can affect you very, very badly. Imagine one of you standing in a sun for 2 hours, a direct sun in a hot summer. I think you will simply fall down, you will simply be getting affected. That is the power of radiation. That is the power. Sometimes people talk about very small thing called mobile, that is it affecting me by radiation? But imagine a bigger radiation coming to you. So there are high power sources which can be generated very easily. Megawatts and things of that nature can be done at microwave frequencies, and therefore these can destroy you through the satellite with single control. Unfortunate part of it is, like corona, unlike corona, you cannot see it, you cannot feel it, you cannot touch it, you cannot stop it also, you cannot confine it also, because the radiations just simply passes through most of the things except for some metallic shields, etc., which are there. So I think, my dear friends, this is a threat which I think is a new generational threat. Most of the wars will be fought by the new generation. All of us know that the war will be fought because of water, but the war will not be necessarily fought by the foot soldiers or the people. War will be fought indirectly, as we are trying to see even now. So what are the universities, what they can do? And I think a few smaller points I would like to highlight here. Number one, we need to make the education where the discretion is being taught very easily. People can differentiate what is right and wrong. The knowledge should be how to apply it and where to apply it, and not to just to mug and deliver that this is how you can design something. I think a knowledge sense has to be changed, and therefore its application has to be more emphasized. And then its pros and cons has to be discussed, because everything in life has pros and cons. So would be the case in terms of technology and also in the education. The second thing, obviously, is the societal awareness. What is right and what is wrong in terms of doing these things. Many people do it because of mischief. Many people create such devices and disturb. Jammers are very common things which are happening in the current world where things are there. But right now, they may not be having high power. The moment they have high power, there will be a slow poisoning to you, or maybe faster poisoning also, in my opinion. The third thing would be, of course, we have started doing it, promotion of ethics, values, and environmental aspects and all that. Nothing wrong with that. We should always do that. These are general points. But let me come to the scientific points which are important for curbing what I have said in terms of the new range of challenges. Number one, our research should be in right direction. Research has gone wrong, and therefore we blame COVID has come into picture. The same way, a wrong research can lead us to what we call those satellites and the high performance devices and high power devices, etc. And therefore, research has to right direction, in the sense that all the controls should be there in certain ways in terms of limits, ranges, and prescriptions which are there, standards which are there. So standards education, standards following, standards checking, autonomous working, but then still auditing and all that of all important scientific things should be very important for the mankind. And number two would be developing sufficient countermeasures would be equally important. If something happens, can we today survive without an internet? Can the airlines, railways, distribution, supply chain work without all that, or banks finance? Imagine I have a lot of money, but my bank is unable to discharge or deliver that money to me. What is that money of any use to me? So I think that is the difficulty, and therefore, once again, we have to make sure that countermeasures or the parallel measures or appropriate technologies are available to fall back. Just an example, that once a tsunami kind of a thing happened, all the communications completely broke down, and the Andaman and Nicobar was just not connected for 1 or 2 days. We had to fall back on the age-old thing called ham radio to make the first connect with them, that what is happening. And it cannot give any video, it cannot give any audio, it can be only dashes and dots. That's the same telegraphic age kind of a thing, that how you communicate and what you communicate. So we'll have to have such resources available to us if we need to avoid full destruction or maybe minimize the destruction. With that, I will close. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sancheti. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. It was honor and privilege to listen to you. Thank you very much for that. And now it is my pleasure that I introduce you to the next eminent speaker of this session, the former Vice Chancellor of Maharashtra University of Health Sciences, Nashik, Professor Dr. Arun Jamkarji. Professor Dr. Arun Jamkar, born and brought up in the Marathwada region of Maharashtra. Witnessing the struggle of the underprivileged made him went to work towards the suffering, and the dreams of becoming the doctor took shape. Over the years, he has helped create an ecosystem for interdisciplinary research between science, technology, Ayurvedic, and homeopathic medicine. One such example of interdisciplinary collaboration would be clinical engineering by creating engineers for hospitals. He wishes to continue to serve the society by applying technology to improve the health and quality of life of the common man. He is proud that he created a movement for of teaching bioethics in medical curriculum through National Nodal Center of UNESCO Chair of Bioethics in Haifa in all state medical universities of India. This was possible for him because of his position as chairman of Association of Health Professional Universities of India. Sir, thank you very much for you joining us today and going to share your thoughts, and we all are eager to listen to you. Thank you very much for joining. Over to you, sir. Sir, if you can please unmute yourself. Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Can hear you now. Sir, please go ahead. We can hear you. Please go ahead.
I'm not able to share my PowerPoint.
Yeah, now you'll be able to.
Yeah.
You see a rectangle? Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we can see your content.
Okay. Let me thank Dr. Rahul Karad and Dr. Vishwanathji Karad for inviting me.
So could you please go in full screen mode for your slide? It is not full screen mode.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So this is very apt for the World Peace University to work on this. It's a major project of eradication of biological and chemical weapons. So let us get blessings of Ganpatiji. And then all my earlier speakers, they were trying to give a elaborate discussion about nuclear wars and subsequently what is happening there. The whole world is engrossed in protecting ourselves from the nuclear war. And as a TED Talk series, Bill Gates has said that we are not prepared for simple biological warfare or maybe something like a, say, viral epidemic. Now, as a university, we stand for humanism, for tolerance, for reasons, and adventure of ideas. And I think as a WP university, it has been most appropriate, and let me congratulate both for taking this, say, a very appropriate topic for the world peace, because we call world peace, and this world peace. And therefore, we need to travel from resource-based economies to the knowledge-based economies. And society and everybody looks at university for the responsibilities. And I think by organizing these conference, we are satisfying these responsibilities. Now, I'm certain, I think I might be giving more justice to biological warfare. And this whole thing was with Michael Christian's book and movie called An Andromeda Strain, where I'm not going to show much, but then whole thing is about a satellite and coming in New Mexico, where they were showing some which was able to do what is called destruction and then create whole species in creating so what is called it gets sucked inside.
First scan all sectors.
And then this was such that the whole thing was taken out. And this was a movie which created something about the biological warfare. Now, I just want to find out that how universities can help in getting these biological warfares. And then I think the first thing that I want to suggest is we need all of the international community after the corona, pandemic. You think that this whole thing is because of a called as in biological warfare, and therefore we need to find out what are the various treaties, various conventions. I'm not going into much detail, but the United Nations has this. And as a university, I think we need to give leadership to the world to find out a better treaty, because nobody wants in biological warfare and nobody wants to do anything. But then because somebody is doing it, I think that would be the greatest service as university to lead, to find out how the biological warfare can be stopped and how all those agents manufactured can be stopped. The greatest danger of this is that they could land up with a terrorist, and then biological weapon could be used and leading to bioterrorism. I think this treaty has to be given by World Peace University to the world to find out how effective it is. Now, let us say find out what is happening is all biological warfare is going in detail, and therefore all these agents, everybody talk of that, but then there might be a lot of other agents which has not been say seen and studied and might be available. So we need to create a research by the universities for the potential organisms of biological warfare. And secondly, suppose we have a treaty to find out how to monitor the programs of the countries. And these are the various agents, category A, category B, category C. And in the category C, we can see the corona. And therefore, what is required to use an artificial intelligence to view what's called as a cognitive domain of the text mining of the data of biological warfare, and create a AI system, a platform to find out what are the various biological agents available. And therefore, there are so many that the human intelligence is not enough. So I just can quote you that after the corona pandemic, the benevolent AI, they put an AI system to use, and they found out more than billion molecules to use, and then they were able to find out exactly what is working. So on similar basis, we could use an artificial intelligence system to find out exactly the spectrum of biological warfare. And then we need to study what are the methodology used for delivering these agents, and then we'll go further. Now, let me now come to viruses, which is being used, which can be used as a biological agent, because these are most animals. The viruses, they just get attached. Now this is corona to the androgen converting receptor, and then it goes inside what is called by a process called as endocytosis. And then once it goes inside, they take care and they engulf inside, and then they take whole mechanism of protein production within the cell by converting into mRNA and then putting into it. And therefore, once it goes inside, then instead the protein being secreted by a cell, it starts producing viruses, and they become a factory of virus. And then all these viruses, they come out, and then by exocytosis. So this is, I think, the most intelligent, they are not even organisms, because they are alive only within the cell. And therefore, this potential is being used by all of us.
Large S isoproteins are used by the...
And then they go on mutating, and therefore, once they mutate, then it becomes still difficult. So all these guys who are using for the biological warfare are trying to use this mutation, and where also we require an AI system. And then the viruses now, they are getting sick, say they create what is called the synthetic biology. And where now the viruses are nothing but RNA and DNA. These are the primitive animals. And therefore, once we have that, it's very easy to create. And if you create something new, that is far more dangerous than natural, because the synthetic poliovirus. And at this juncture, people are thinking that the coronavirus is a synthetic virus, because it is so powerful that all the ecosystem of a natural virus is not there. And a natural virus cannot be so dangerous. And now, this is what is called as this is a woman called China's Batwoman. So she says that the coronavirus is a tip of iceberg, and there are so many viruses around, and then there might be several in the bats, and therefore we are just showing at just a tip of iceberg. So what is required is to do an entire research to find out whole profile of all those viruses, which can be done, and therefore what is required is how they can stop by using biological warfare. Now we have evil empires like China and Korea. Now everybody is suspecting that the whole virus of pandemic of corona has been from China, because otherwise now they are being evil empire, they don't follow ethical principles. Otherwise, how when the whole world is fighting against corona, people are dying, and China is creating border problems, disputes. They're going into our India, they're going into South China, going to Hong Kong. So I think that whole thing gives a suspicion that it might be whole thing as a biological warfare. And then the other thing is North Korea, which has the biggest facility available for creating the biological threats.
Bacteria and virus with North.
Now, the problem is all these biological laboratories can accidentally release viruses. And therefore, it's still more dangerous because they don't want to have biological warfare, but then something finds accidentally. And once something finds accidentally, we have to use again some AI system like they are used by Kamran Khan after he has a company called Blue Dot, and where the biological, let's say after the virus pandemic, he was able to just exactly tell you where the viruses will be going. So I think this is all about creating a situation and research in biological warfare. Now we have to train leaders, and therefore the leaders are required because these all leaders will handle the pandemic, and therefore training to create leadership in biological warfare preparedness. And I think we have the School of Governance, then there are other universities, they have School of Democracy. We should have programs in how to handle the biological warfare, pandemics. And this what is required is called meta leadership. And therefore this meta leadership goes beyond. And this is the one where everything of leadership is required to report, to find out. It is 360-degree leadership of the event, the context, and the problem, and the culture. So I think all these requires a study in detail about how the biological warfare is going, how to control, how to monitor, how to stop that. And therefore, this requires a detailed research. And I would appreciate Dr. Vishwanath at MIT Peace University to start a chair in biological warfare under MITW. That might be a most impactful thing to happen in giving leadership to the world. Obviously, we require to train people to find out what are the things happening. Now, there are several programs are available. MIT WPU should start programs. Universities in India, I always say that they don't use their academic autonomy. Now, there are several universities we are having a master's degree in biological weapons. Oxford is starting similar programs. I think MIT WPU or whole universities in India looking at biological warfare should create people to find out and how to train them and therefore create a program. And obviously, I want to end with this what is called as appreciative inquiry. So we want to find out what is the problem going. So we need to dream a society in a world without biological warfare, say biological agents, and then design what we can do and then deliver. I think with this 4D cycle, we can have something to do, all the universities can do to help to get this world free of biological agents. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your views. Thank you very much for sharing with us the piece of wisdom. And now, without taking much time, I would like to go to the questions and answers. The first question is coming for Dr. Sabu Thomas. So the question is coming to you, and the question is from Rojit Singh. The question is, sir, after this pandemic situation, well, the question seems little out of context, but let me take it. As a Vice Chancellor, probably this question must be coming to you. The question says, after this pandemic is over, how exactly, what are the steps that we should take to come back to schools or universities?
That's a very interesting question for me. After the pandemic, what we are going to do is we are going to introduce a blended mode of teaching, evaluation. Yes, during pandemic, we were completely online. Now, I told the students and teachers that we have to utilize both the online and offline sort of blended way. I would say 70s to 30. Our students should be exposed to all sorts of innovations. So if we have another pandemic, we should be prepared for that. And we are also going to give probably some of the examinations online. And we are going to give training to the faculty members. So if, again, a pandemic is coming, we should be prepared for that. We should be prepared to face it. So I'm going to adopt a sort of blended mode of teaching, learning and evaluation process.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for that answer. The next question is coming for Dikshit, sir. And the question is coming from Sumanta Bhattacharya. Sir, the question is, what kind of modern digital education will come into this world after this pandemic situation? Over to you, sir.
Very interesting question, but the answer is not as easy as it appears. One is that the pandemic is over, or we are already talking about post-COVID. I don't think COVID is going to go
I'm
away
sorry,
like
sir.
that.
Sorry to interrupt you. Thomas, sir, could you please mute from your sides because we're getting an echo. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, am I audible now? Okay. So what I was saying that I'm already listening to a lot of discussions on different platforms that post-COVID, what we are going to do. I don't think there will be a post-COVID phenomenon. We have to be with COVID phenomena. COVID is not going to disappear like this. And as we wish that by say a certain amount of time, there will be no COVID in the world. COVID will remain. COVID-19 will also remain. We will probably understand how to find an answer to or how to find a medicine for this. So COVID is going to be there. For me, the digital question is like this, because the Indian scenario is this, that as you mentioned, 31 crore, I think Rajat mentioned the number of students in the country is a huge number. And everybody doesn't have access to the same digital platform as it is available to certain privileged few in the bigger cities probably. However, I take the teaching as a two-part business. One will be the instructional part and other is the discussion part. What I would suggest is that the instructional part can be handed over to the digital platform where a lot of information that need to be given to the teachers so that they can analyze the problem in the right perspective, because the information doesn't give perspective. Perspective to be given by the college and the university as they are, but low students only for attendance they get instruction information.
I think Dikshit, sir, I'm sorry. I think we are losing you. I think you have some network challenge at your end, but nevertheless, I hope it would. No, your voice is breaking. But nevertheless, I think we can wait till the connection improves from your side, a minute or two. But meanwhile, let me pose the next question, which is coming for Dr. Sancheti. And the question is coming from Jaita Brahma. And the question is, sir, do you think that other than teaching peace directly in education, is there any other way of bringing ethics and peace into teaching?
I think it's a tough question for me. Let me accept that first. I would have loved to give you a technological aspect of an answer, but I think teaching something is rather easy. Practicing that is the most difficult. And it becomes most difficult because India is very, very competitive. And there's always, neck-to-neck competition for everything. And therefore, in Indian conditions, sometimes it is said that might is right. And with that, all those ethics and everything goes to a toss or to a spin. And therefore, it's pretty difficult. But let me tell you that technology can always teach you such things very easily. You try to play with an experiment, play with a chemical, let's say, lab, play with an electronic device, and try to drive it with extra current or put some voltage and do some concentration level changes. It will immediately backfire on you. And that will make you realize that we have to be in the control. And that is the way ethics will tell you. Ethics doesn't mean to say that you don't do this, don't do that. They say do whatever, but do within the limits and do it without harming to others. I think, yes, teaching fraternity can always deliver and inculcate what we call ethics more effectively. But my belief is that that's more, one would not like it, but I would say that's more at the schooling level where the foundation is being laid. We are probably dealing with more of the elevation side. Yes, we can also do whatever correction is required, but it should be at the foundational level, that how they are brought up initially.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for that answer. So next question is coming for Dr. Jamkar, and it is from Samson Chiru. And the question is, sir, if the peace is state of mind, and if war or anger is also a state of mind, why can't we have the entire mind filled with one state instead of two?
Very good question.
Very good
It
question.
is.
I think peace per se is an emotional entity. So spiritually or metaphysically, if you are at peace with yourself, you are at peace with the world. And therefore Gandhiji has already said, if you want to change the world, change yourself. Now the question is, we are having, say, virus, say, corona pandemic. How can you be at peace at home, sitting at lockout? But I think we need to understand that that is the only thing that we can have to help the world. Therefore, the moment you are convinced, then you will have peace within you, and that will reflect outside. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The next question, where I believe that was a really tough one, but thank you very much for that answer. But the next question is coming for the entire panel. Dr. Supreet Surya is asking the question, but he has mentioned any name, so I suppose it is open for entire panel. The question is, sir, are we really marching ahead with proper planning? Is technology ruining the basic principles of life? It's a big question. Yes, sir. Sancheti, sir, I think technology, yes.
No. Everyone is qualified to answer that. The first answer to that last question, which was a tough question, whether there are 2 states or 10 states, all states will coexist. That's the nature. Nothing is permanent in the nature. We cannot say that we are Amar or we cannot be destroyed. Okay, we cannot be glorifying ourselves. And in that sense, whatever has come into existence will change. And therefore, change is must. And therefore, there will be more than one state. If it is only one state, it's permanent. More than one state, you'll be transiting between them. I just give you an electronic example for that. We are all craving for a good signal. Right now, you said that someone was not getting signal and therefore it was lost. But let me tell you, the noise corrupts that or noise affects that. And therefore, we minimize the noise or reduce the noise or avoid the noise. But the fact of the matter is, if we make the noise zero, the signal will also not be there. The signal will not be generated. And therefore, for signal to exist, the noise has to be there. So you can understand that they are interdependent states. And that would be the case with everything: good, bad, right, wrong, black, white, whatever, something like that. So that's an answer to that. And for the technological things, I think the punch of the question, probably if you can repeat, that's fine. But otherwise, my answer to the technological thing is, technology drives us to a hilt in terms of its potential. And it's like a transient. It goes up the steady state, it goes down below the steady state, and therefore it keeps us driving. But there is one thing, that whatever comes into existence technologically finds a niche for itself, finds a place for itself, finds a use for itself, and the new technology then overtakes. And that's how the technological world drives. So that's why I said, make the standards, make sure that someone is going beyond standards. All that if we can do, I think technology will not do harm to us. By the way, technology is supposed to be our slave. Technology is supposed to assist us. Technology is supposed to make us more comfortable. But when we go into the access side of the technology, obviously anything in excess is bad, as we know it very well. That's the state of technology also.
Thank you very much for that answer, Dr. Sancheti. But unfortunately, why I don't know, but every movie that we see or any sci-fi movie that is shown, yes, sir, I'll come to you, Sir Jamkar, sir. Generally, yes, sir, I'll come to you. Okay, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
I think as regard technology is concerned, because I am talking about healthcare, I am a surgeon. My firm belief is that all healthcare problems of the world and society can only be solved by technology. Because you can't just increase the number of doctors and nurses, but you can increase their effectivity by using technology, like say wearable technology or maybe IoTs and everything. And then what is the importance of technology is all to improve the quality of life. Now let us find out how technologies help in this viral epidemic. Now, I think if there was no technology, then there might be far more deaths than what we have. Now, I talk about the blue dot. They told all the capitals in the world 1 week before that your patient is coming, and they were just identifying what is called as the flight data of all flights across the world, which is a trillion miles. Same thing, all these new drugs coming, effectivity, they are doing by technology, because they're using systems to find out what are the drugs available, what are the drugs which can be used. I think this whole thing is by technology, and suddenly.
Well, I would like to add one thing to your question answer, Jamkar sir, because there's one question coming to you only. It was intended by Dr. Veena Kshirsagar, who is assistant professor at MIT WPU, and she asked, in golden days, in the old times, we had mantra shakti, and today we have tantra shakti. But do you think in future, don't you think that we would become slaves of the technology? As Sanchiti sir was saying, exactly ulta, but then do you think we would be going the other way?
I don't think we become slave of technology. At the end, we are developing technologies, and therefore, at the end, we are very selfish. We won't let technology win over you. And therefore, we want to make it perfect. Let us say robots. At the end, robots will be there. Now, imagine all robots being used for, say, surveillance. Now, the corona positive patient, nobody wants to go inside because of the risk. And all the telemedicine, robotic monitoring, this whole thing is technology. I think mantra is going, tantra will come, and tantra will become mantra of tomorrow.
Oh, great. Thank you very much for that answer. Last question for Dikshit sir. And the question is coming from Bhasa. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right. Do you think, I'm sorry, I just got scrolled. Yeah. Do you think India is ready for digitally transformed education? Do you think that every knowledge seeker in India has equal access to technology? It's a quick question. Yeah.
Question is having two distinct parts. One is that, is India ready? Yes, India is ready. Second part is, do we have, everybody has the equal access? No, so far not. We have to create that strength to reach to every corner of the country. Fortunately, this kind of an epidemic has given us an opportunity to work very fast on this. And India does have a capability. Only Indians take India not so seriously, because the rest of the world takes, because the size that we have is something that nobody can match except China. So we have to, when we have a development of this sort, and the magnitude of this sort, and the urgency of this sort, these questions do emerge. But for digitally literacy, India is not only ready, they are capable. The best of the software skills are available in India alone. I think that you're running the world basically from software side. Availability to every nook and corner, yes, that is required, and that is precisely where the government needs to work on.
Thank you very much. Any comments from Dr. Thomas?
A quick addition to this: technology will never be equally spread in any case. You can see any technology. The point of origin will decide how it spreads. The costing will decide, and therefore you can see the solar, you can see the mobile, you can see various other things. Now it's the electrical vehicles which are there. They will spread, but slowly over a period of time it will go away. And more we accept it and more we are ready, the cost will be lesser if we do the adoption and our own inventions and whatever. So let's not accept that fact that technology is not equal to all of us. I think many of us are talking about that aspect. It will never be like that. So let's start doing digitalization as has been promoted or pushed by the COVID.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Jamkar sir wants to also speak. Yeah. Thomas sir also, and Pandey sir also. Okay, please go ahead. I'm really running short of time. Please go ahead. Jamkar sir.
I think technology will only solve all these problems of education. We are underestimating Indian technology. Our penetration of internet is far bigger. In a recent study, there were more WhatsApp users in rural area than urban area.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for that insight. Over to you, Thomas, sir.
Use all that because my technology our whole spectrum of education widens, and the whole teachers are available globally. I think we need to take shelter of technology.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Over to you.
Yeah, my answer is very short. Science and technology for human welfare, for human needs, where the ethical issues come. So ethics have to be taught in all levels. That is answer number one. Answer number two, you talked about the digital divide. I'm sure that lots of people, they are not able to afford internet. They're not able to afford a computer, not able to afford a smartphone. Government should really support such students. Otherwise, we cannot preserve the point of inclusiveness, social justice. So my university, what we do is we provide computers, we provide smartphones, those who are not able to afford. Otherwise, we cannot, fulfill the requirement of social inclusiveness. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Over to you, Pandey, sir. Sir, you're mute.
Yeah, good evening to all of you. Very brief, very short. I have one submission and one question also. Dr. Sancheti sir spoke about the standardization and all those, the technology. We have to have a standardization, credibility and quality. Then only we can reach. But on the other hand, as rightly said by Thomas sir, also the rural connectivity is the biggest problem. Though we are talking of the digital India and so many things, but still only 110 cities they got the very good connectivity. But still, the rural connectivity is the biggest problem. The unemployment, the job shortage for next 35 years, there will be a job shortage. But my question is, how to tackle all this? Data will not helping us in this stopping the transmissions, the corona. So we are talking of so many things. Dr. Jamkar sir spoke the analytics, the big data, but still, as this stage, the data is misleading to the society. Reverse migration has happened. The students are not getting to the their choice-based colleges. The university education, the examination, even the course, and so many things are stopped. The technology, has its own limitations. So, how to prepare ourselves? How this reversing damage to the ecosystem? How it will happen? So, the question is open, sir.
Anyone would like to take it quickly, because I'm really running short of time. Yes, Jamkar sir.
As regards all this post-COVID area now, there is a huge problem about taking examinations and keeping all the safe distancing. I was invited by Vice Chancellor to find out how technology can help. I think we are underestimating again that we can have all those online platforms creating, say what is called as question banks of various difficulty index and conducting exams like a GRE or USMLE simultaneously everywhere. I think once you do that, the whole hindrance is conducting one exam in one hall to go away. And we need to find out, say, multiple question papers and conduct round the clock. Therefore, the whole exam system can be there. I think this whole thing could be given for an online examination. Even we can have online clinical examination like USMLE. So I think we need to explore technology for evaluation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I've really reached the end of time. I'm sorry. Okay, Sanchit, sir, quick inputs.
Professor Pandey talked about joblessness because of the technology. Let me tell you, if I get the same comfort and same life, I'll be very happy to work for 3 days or 4 days and let others work for the remaining 3 days or 4 days. I think the jobs are going to take change of shape. We have known that once computers came, internet came, nothing went out. In fact, they helped us and created more jobs. For example, examination has become big business for the industry now. Therefore, there will be new forms of jobs which will be there. But ideally, our life should become more comfortable. Today, we are working hard. Saturdays and Sundays, evenings, we are working. Should we work like that? Work like donkey? No. Technology should be a donkey, and therefore let it come up and support us. That's what I would say. I'll not be worried about the technology coming in a big way.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that healthy discussion. It was really interesting session where everybody was buzzing with ideas. Thank you very much. But I'm really sorry that I've reached end of time. I'll have to move on to the next point on agenda. and which